We've tested over 500,000 ads, and here is what we've learned. Number one, test everything, and I mean literally everything. So you have to have a system for testing. We test creative, words, headlines, formats, ad types, offers, forms, funnels, messaging, calls to action, delivery options, and everything you could possibly imagine. Why? Because you never ever know what's going to be the next thing that's going to work really well. Yeah, there's things that are tried and true that work over a period of time for a season, but nothing ever seems to work long term, especially on like social media advertising platforms. So you need to be testing on a rigorous schedule on a regular basis. So how do we do that internally? We actually, in our team, have a innovative culture where we have a culture of testing, a culture of experimenting. In fact, in our weekly account management meetings, our team gets together and there's a huge portion of that meeting, which is a really meaningful portion of that meeting, where every account manager will share what they're testing, the parameters of the test, and if it worked, and what the hypothesis was, and what the outcomes were. And so we have these tests and experiments on a regular basis being shared across all of the team. And this way, winners make it to the winner's circle. Once a test has made it to the winner's circle, that then becomes a test that we accelerate, and multiple account managers will go out and test that on multiple accounts in multiple markets to see, was it an anomaly or is this something that will work continually? If that accelerated test works in multiple markets and works across multiple accounts, then we have full rollout, and we will roll that out as a new standard operating procedure or a new way that we will run ads. So the point is this: number one is you have to test everything. If you're not testing things, or you're just throwing things on the wall to see what sticks, and you're not being deliberate, and you're not tracking, and you're not looking at the metrics, you are wasting your advertising dollars. Over the last 500,000 ads that have been tested, number one thing we've learned is you have to be testing, but you have to be testing rigorously with intent, having a hypothesis, and being intentional about it, and tracking every single thing that is around that test, so you know whether it worked or not and how to deploy it if it did. Okay, number two, what's working today probably won't work forever. It's always evolving. Advertising SOPs, standard operating procedures, are more dynamic than they are static. It's ever evolving. Platforms change, algorithm change, hardware changes, software changes, like the markets change, user behavior changes. Like, there's so many dynamic things that happen. So what is working today is not going to work forever. I remember a couple years ago, you saw the 6-week fitness challenge was a huge offer, and it was being run and run and run and run and run. And so now people are still trying to run it, but cost per lead has gone way up when they're trying to run those types of offers. And so you can't expect something not to just hit ad fatigue, or consumers to be like, no, it's too good to be true, or trust. We're in a trust recession, right? So where people don't trust what they're seeing in their advertising. So what's working now probably won't work forever. So that's another reason why you should be always innovating and testing. Real quick, if you're getting some value out of this, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to it. So number three, buyer psychology doesn't really change a whole lot, but the messaging does. Okay, so generations are changing. Baby boomers are getting older. Gen X is getting older. Then there's, millennials and Gen Z. And so like when you look at buyer psychology, people typically buy for the same reasons throughout all generations. And some things remain like staple emotions when they're in the purchase process, right? They want to feel safe. They want to have trust. They want to see the perceived value. They want to have the idea of a better future. If I buy this, my future or my life is going to be better with it than without it. And so, but a lot of it is around safety and trust, like insurance, for example, is around safety, is around like mitigating risk, right? So with that being said, buyer psychology doesn't change a whole lot, but the messaging to those specific buyers does, because you're dealing with different generations. So you have to adapt the messaging based on the generations that you're targeting, because the way you would speak to a baby boomer is going to be very different than the way you would speak to a Gen Z, even though the reason they buy may be very similar, okay? So that's really important. I also believe that when you look at things like retargeting, buying cycles may be getting shorter because of the speed of AI and the research ability. So like large ticket items, furniture, or large expensive vacations or whatever, the buying cycle, I believe, will continue to get shorter and shorter and shorter. So that affects your retargeting advertising, because you're able to do 10 times the amount of research with AI, go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I want you to go look at every forum, every discussion, every Reddit thread, and I want you also to look at every review and third-party reviews, try to stay away from affiliates, and just really read through all this information and curate all the information, if there's any blog articles on it, and give me all the information that I would need about this business or this product or this service, so I can make an informed decision. And what used to take hours, maybe even weeks for bigger ticket items, can take minutes. And you can have it all right at your fingertips, at your disposal, in just a matter of minutes, which is absolutely incredible. So that affects your retargeting, because we used to have longer, wider retargeting windows, or it affects how you manage your retargeting ads. So retargeting ads, instead of using them for, top of funnels for to get awareness and to get leads generated, and then you retarget them to either, move them through the buying cycle or get them on a downsell, or like GoPro was doing that for a while, where they would give you like a discount on the retargeting ads if you bought their GoPro Hero 10 back in the day, right? And that's an e-commerce place. But it changes now, because if it's a shorter window, your retargeting purpose may change, as far as using more content to build trust, right? Because maybe leads are slow to come in, so you're building trust through that retargeting, or you're using it in a shorter window for purchases on downsells or something like that, because the AI is shortening the window. So anyway, those are the 3 things that you need to know. What we've learned is that you have to test rigorously, and you have to test and track everything. Literally test everything, from the button to the words you're using, to the colors, to the images, to the creative, to the video. I mean, there's so many things to test, to the hooks, to the offers. You literally have to test everything. You have to track everything when you test it to become good at advertising. Otherwise, you will never be good at advertising. Number 2, what's working now probably won't work forever. And number 3, buyer psychology doesn't change much, but the messaging based on generations and who you're talking to does. Hope this helped, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video.